creative mind of Ronnie Bula.
Yo, what's good? It's Millsthursdays, episode 18. And I got my brothers, Delonte and Brito. They've been on this show before, and I had to bring them back again. You will know why that I brought both of them back with the first question coming up. But, Delonte, let them know who is, man.
Delonte, my name is Delonte, aka the Drum Major. Producer, writer, director, filmmaker, all of the above. Moving to Cali in a couple weeks, so I'm looking forward to be out there, man.
Diego Delonte, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm just letting y'all know me and Delonte got something in the works. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's coming, man. About to, you know what I mean? I already know Delonte's a hard worker, so I'm like, yo, let's get to it. It's about to be something special. Just letting y'all know. Of course, I'm an actor. If y'all don't know, I'm an actor. And I'm going to make him. Just telling them. Yes. Anyway, Brito.
Yo, what up, what up? This is Brito, a.k.a. Soulogik. I'm a rapper / mixing engineer / wannabe videographer nowadays, but that's not been put out yet, but people are going to start seeing it. And, MC name is Soulogik, and, if you like good music where people rap about real shit, I got that.
Yes, Brito has a message. And I featured, Diego Delonte's beats on my episodes and Soulogik's music on my episodes as well. So, yo, both of y'all, I appreciate y'all. The thing is, and I brought both of y'all here, is not only, to discuss the current topics of what's going on, but collab as well, man. You never know, because y'all both got great minds. Y'all already, even before this episode, y'all talked about the specs of the Xbox X and the PS5 and all that. Y'all ain't gonna cop it, but Delonte gonna get the Xbox X. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But before we go on, I just want to give a quick shout out to the shirt I'm wearing, the Millsthursdays. Y'all gonna get this real soon, but the first people that are gonna get it are my brothers on this episode. And I will give...
Appreciate that, man.
Yes. I will give instructions on how other people can win it as well. So, we're going to get into the first question, man. When Delonte was in the episode, he kind of said some blasphemous things with the superheroes and stuff. So I kind of asked, based off what he said with this one particular superhero, I asked the following week, how do my followers rock? Who do they rock with the most? So I'm going to ask you two. So which superhero do you rock with the most? Batman or Iron Man?
Delonte, go ahead, man.
You can shut up.
I got you. I'll go with Batman. Easy answer. I'm just going to break down a few points here, right? A bunch of shit. Doesn't need a bunch of gadgets or anything. Just with his hands, he will beat the living daylights out of any regular person. He's stronger than the average person. This is comic book stuff, of course, right? But he's stronger than your average person. He can lift more, he can bench more, he can do all these superhuman feats. Level of a human being. So he's at the very top. Iron Man, what's he got without his gadgets? You can't use the billionaire playboy line against Batman because he's the same thing.
But you can technically say the same thing about Batman. What is technically Batman without his gadgets? Although he can fight. Iron Man learned to fight too. So it's not like they both neither can fight. But it's almost the same thing. What is Batman without his gadgets too?
League of Shadows. He's like a ninja.
I know that. But I'm just saying that argument can be made for what is Batman without his gadgets. But I agree. Like, I think Iron Man. Iron Man was cool until like when he was on the Amazing Spider-Man. Like I was like, oh yeah, he's kind of dope. But like Robert Downey took him over the top for me. But like I would still choose Batman over Iron Man regardless. Like I'm a DC head more than I am a Marvel head. It just I feel like today like Marvel is more popular only because of the movies. But I'm not gonna get into that.
Oh yeah, we should get into that because that makes me mad. Like honestly, this is mad. The hate for DC movies actually makes me mad. I don't get it. Like I love Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman.
You know what? All right, I'm glad you said that because I was having this discussion and it might have been with Keith. I don't know. I think it was with Keith, right? Who was a better Bruce Wayne? Yeah, it was with Keith. I knew it was with Keith.
For me, it actually is Ben Affleck, man.
Thank you. I said the same thing, man.
Yes, okay, it's Ben Affleck, bro.
Bro, he is bro. Okay, so I rewatched Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition yesterday, and then the Justice League, right? Man, he killed that. It was just this one whole sequence where he was fighting. Yo, he like as a Bruce Wayne and a Batman. Christian Bale was good, but I feel like the story is what made him good. And people always say Christian Bale because of the Joker. But as a Bruce Wayne, and you talking about the old battered Bruce Wayne who just says fuck the world and all that, oh hell yeah, it's Ben Affleck. And I would love to see a Ben Affleck Batman movie.
I want to see it. And I mean, and Henry Cavill as Superman is just great. Like hateful Batman, like real quick, I know this is off the question a little bit, but the Batman Superman movie, people got mad. The biggest gripe people have is Superman is kind of mean, essentially. They just said he's mean.
But that was the point of the whole thing. Like, yo, like Batman v Superman does not get the credit it deserves. And I've always been a huge fan, right? Even when this nigga was talking to fish, I don't care. Like, I took them bullets because Aquaman, like the ocean is 70 or 90% unknown. So the ability to control all that to me is dope as hell, right? And I've always liked that type of aspect. But Batman v Superman, I feel like the theatrical version, there was a whole bunch of jump cuts in it that skipped over a lot of important details. But when you watch the Ultimate Edition with that extra 30, 35 minutes of footage, it flushed everything out and made that shit like incredibly good. Except I will say this, I understand why he did it, but I don't like the addition of Doomsday at the end. I felt like that was too much. I honestly feel like everything from the beginning to where he fought Batman and Superman fought, man, that shit was great.
I didn't like Jesse Eisenberg. That's what I didn't like. I didn't like Jesse Eisenberg. I thought he was on some shit. Like I didn't think he was
Lex, right?
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that. It felt
why not?
It felt too much like Social Networking. It felt like that movie. It felt like he was just playing Mark Zuckerberg again. It's like I don't need that.
So is that literally you don't like his portrayal of Lex, or you just have him stuck as Zuckerberg in your mind?
I don't like his portrayal of Lex. I always saw Lex as a more typically stern dude, powerful, not as comical as he made him. Like I didn't see him as the comical relief of the movie. I didn't think Lex should have been that. It should have been something.
But let me add this point and see what you think about it, because I agreed with you until I rewatched it again. Right, I rewatched this thing about 100, like not 100 times, but at least a good 10 times. Right. And then when it hit me yesterday when I was rewatching it, and their portrayal of Lex was more so not the billionaire playboy that we've seen of Lex, but more so a kid coming into money, coming into his own. And once I realized that, I was like, you know what? He's not that bad at it. Because there was a couple of scenes when he came in there, like there was when Batman stole the kryptonite. This is when I like had this epiphany. When Batman stole the kryptonite and Lex drove up to and on a motorcycle with some sneakers, some baggy ass jeans, and some tight fitted clothes. And I was thinking to myself like, yo, he's a kid. He's a kid that's just coming into money. So of course he's gonna act. Like, as soon as I hit that, I was like, man, that his more sense.
You make a good point, because that's actually what people are saying for Superman's character arc, where people are mad that he's mean and stuff like that. He's not the happy-go-lucky Superman. He's like, I'm here to save the children and all that, right? People are building towards that. I feel like what's fair about what happened with the movie is people didn't let Zack Snyder build what he was trying to build. Iron Man, like if we just judge an Iron Man off the first Iron Man movie, it's a cool movie, but it's nowhere near Endgame and the rest of them.
Right.
It's nowhere near that. But if they had given Zack Snyder time to build Superman up to where now he has faith in the human race to an extent, he would have been a little bit happy. But right now, he's building a story of he's an alien, and he's made that shit so much more real that portrayal, like, yo, this is a question about the aliens, and it's like this guy proves it. And people don't know if they accept him, hate him, and he's just so overpowered that it's like, what do I do with all this power? And he's growing his own, you know what I mean? And I feel like trying to do that, and they didn't give him time. They were just like, people know Zack Snyder's visuals are great. People have condemned his stories. His visuals tend to be great.
Mm-hmm.
You messing with the visuals. Mess with the story if you want, at least, but why are you messing with the visuals?
Even with that, like, I wouldn't even suggest messing with the story because it was a trilogy. So you want to see the build-up and the culmination of what happens to Superman, because that was technically the third part of Man of Steel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technically, even though we know it wasn't. So it's like, why would you mess up the whole story? And it's like movies that are not based in reality. You know what I mean? Like, everybody not that happy all the time. And Marvel just made people seem too happy. Opposed to DC is more grounded in reality. If an alien comes and knocks out your stuff, like knocks over your building and kills your family, you're going to be devastated by that. Opposed to in Marvel, what they have, like the Sokovia Accords that's supposed to fix it, and like people was just okay with that and went on about their, like the public was okay with that and went about their day, and there was no backlash from the public towards the superheroes like it was in DC and Batman v Superman. You know what I mean? So it's like they deal with, and this is the part that I will give Warner Brothers credit for, is they brought in Christopher Nolan as the writing consultant and as the consultant for everything to continue building on his world building of groundedness that he did in all the Batman trilogy that he did before. So I give him credit for that.
And one last thing, back on the topic, you mentioned the Christopher Nolan series. Batman, back to Batman. What Batman is essentially Bane. Without all the gadgets and stuff, he's Bane. Imagine a slightly lower level, but he's Bane. Bane in that movie didn't have any gadgets or anything. He was just a badass, hand to hand, and an amazing mind on top of it. So that's another point to it back. Because they were trained by the League of Shadows. They were trained by the same people. So what you see in Bane is what you see from Batman.
Yeah, but why? Yeah, but Bane need. So that serum that he takes doesn't necessarily juice him up.
In the movie, at least, going from the movie, he doesn't have a serum. He just has that shit in his mask that like protects him from dying. Basically, it's a rescue.
I know. I thought that was a serum that I thought in the movie that was a serum that he inhaled. Not
in the movie. That's what it is in comics and the cartoons. But in the movie, they completely took that out. Oh, okay. So he was just a badass.
We're gonna go into the result.
But then hold on.
Wait, Delonte.
I got one more.
I gotta give the results because y'all both DC heads, very passionate. But I gotta give the results. And Delonte, I'm gonna give you 20 more seconds to say your point. After these.
No, it wasn't no point because he brought up the League of Shadows. So I was gonna say Batman or Green Arrow because they both from the league.
Well, true. Batman or Green. You would ask that. Let me.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, let me.
It's the same people. See,
it's the same. Exactly the same. To be honest, Batman's just more interesting.
Yeah, he's cool though. I like him though. All right. So which superhero do you watch the most? 51% said Batman. 49% said Iron Man.
See, that's too close. That's close. That's way too. And it's just like if we didn't have these like the theatrical movies to go about, Batman would have destroyed Iron Man because not a lot of people know about Iron Man, and still to this day, not a lot of people know who Iron Man really does or who he really.
Yeah, that's true. We've had so many Batman movies, and the only like Iron Man movies we really had is the 3 with Robert Downey Jr., right? The 3. And
we want him. We don't even want somebody else. We want Robert Downey Jr. I feel like we grew to like Robert Downey Jr. I think you said that last time.
You know what's crazy? I read something. There's an article. I don't know if this is true or not. You know, they just come out with some bullshit articles. But due to the low first week grossing numbers for Sherlock, I don't know if it's true, but I was reading that Robert Downey wants back at Iron Man. Who knows? Maybe he's just probably a fan who wrote that.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
You saw that too. I hope it. Huh?
We want that. But more so above all the other requests that people have, we're getting the Snyder Cut. So luckily HBO is doing that.
But the thing about the Snyder Cut is I'm hoping they make it a movie. Now they was talking about making a movie or a series.
They're gonna make it a series because it was be a 2-part movie, so I think they want to release it in 4 parts. On each,
but I'd rather have this whole 3.5, 4 hour movie. But it's like I understand, like, because I know a part of it is legalities too. They can't just like, so I know a part of it has to do with legal reasons of why they have to make it a series. It's just I know they have ways to work around it.
Exactly, but we're getting that. But more important than that, what I want is to then do justice to the Hulk. I'm still pissed at what they did with the Hulk and Infinity War.
Okay.
Endgame.
Okay, we can ask. This could be the second question then. I haven't asked the followers. How do you feel about Hulk as a whole? Do you like Hulk, Brito? This is just a question. Brito and Delonte, do you rock with the Hulk?
Yes.
Hell no.
I rock with the Hulk. The first one.
Hell no.
The first movie with freaking Edward Norton was spot on, in my opinion.
Yeah. Wait. Are you talking about the movie from 2003? Or are you talking about the very first Incredible Hulk movie?
There was a very first one when he was really green and just jumping around from continent to continent. I don't know what that was about.
The one with Edward Norton was 07.
That was the one with Abomination.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about the 03 one. I didn't like that one because it took forever for him to be the Hulk. But the Edward Norton, the Edward Norton. You saying he's trash? I don't understand you, dog.
Well, okay, so let me explain, because this is why I say Captain America trash and Thor is trash, right? Like Thor, I'm starting to get a little bit more respect for, but it's like if your main superpower to me, right, is super strength, that's corny to me. Like, come up with something else. Like that shit's just like that's corny to me. Come up with some dimension to your character.
You like Wolverine?
So Superman is corny?
Huh?
Is Superman corny?
No, that's not his main power. So there's more dimension to Superman as a character. But I would say he's borderline corny, but not in the sense that you would think. Like, because when they created Superman, they had to scale back his powers. Like at one point he could travel through time. Like, come on,
Dr. Manhattan. They had him on Dr. Manhattan status.
And that's too, like, for a character, like, that's too much. You want to scale some of that stuff back. But what I'm saying about those two, like Incredible Hulk and Captain America, their powers are their strength.
Well, hold on, let's pause for a second, because Hulk is an analogy. It's kind of an example of, like, as you get stronger, people talk about adrenaline rush. Hulk is essentially times 20, times 1,000, whatever his anger level is. But he also has recovery. He regenerates. Like, Hulk can literally regenerate too. So, like, it's not
like Wolverine.
Yes. That's why I mentioned Wolverine. He can do everything Wolverine can do. He regenerates, and he just happens to be a lot stronger than Wolverine, without the adamantium and all that shit.
His other power, other than strength. I mean, you said regeneration, but other than strength, what is his main other power?
Gamma radiation. Like, he has the ability to, I guess, harvest gamma radiation and even spread it. In the comics, he's even used that power before. Like, he throw out gamma beams or something like that. Not from his eyes or anything, but he can do that. He has a Hulk smash thing, which also comes from strength. He can do a few things, man.
The Hulk smash is just he hit something really hard. That's corny. Like, when it comes to that, I feel like Stan Lee could have been more creative. I don't even know if he created the Hulk, right? But I feel like whoever created the Hulk could have been more creative. That's all I'm saying. Like, at least when you come with that,
Delonte, give credit to the Hulk.
Nah, bro, he's still corny.
So let me ask you this. Brito, you rocking with Aquaman or the Hulk?
Hulk.
Hold on,
this
dog.
Said Aquaman, bro.
Huh?
Delonte said Aquaman.
No, okay, so what my question is to you guys, what do you know about Aquaman? Like, what do you know his power
in Entourage?
Huh?
I know Vince played him in Entourage.
Oh yeah, besides that. I like that show. But but besides that, what is it that you know specifically about Aquaman and his power?
I know he can swim really fast, human strength. I know he can talk to fish.
Yeah, and that's usually what people only equate him to, but he has more than that. So he's super fast on land as well as in the water, but he's faster in the water, right? But when it comes to his superhuman strength, he's on par with the strength of Superman, right? A lot of people know that part about it. Like, he's just like, for him, it's the longer he's away from water. So, like, Superman has his kryptonite, right? That's his weakness. Aquaman's weakness is being away from water. So if he's in the water, his strength multiplies by a lot. But if he's on land, he's still as strong as Superman. If he's dehydrated, he loses that strength of Superman and becomes strength of a regular person. So he always has to regenerate himself in the water.
He just drinks water. He drinks water to get his strength.
No, he has to physically go in the water. To my understanding, he has to physically go in the water and rehydrate himself. Unless I'm missing something with that. You know what I mean? But like he's on that level of strength. And not to mention I've always loved the whole backstory between him and his brother. Like that shit's hard to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and then when it comes to like being able to talk to fish, like 90% of the ocean is unknown, right? So imagine you fighting somebody and all of a sudden he's like, woo, kill a whale, boom, boom, comes on land, eat your ass. Like, no, that's hard.
Mm-hmm. So he's a super dolphin.
See, the disrespect. So let me ask you this, right? So let me ask you this. Where's the Hulk from?
Where's the Hulk from? A bad experiment gone wrong?
No, I know that, but I'm saying what city?
Shit.
Nah, this is important, my guy. This is important.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
No one knows. No one cares. But everybody know what Atlantis is.
Oh my God.
Like,
that doesn't equate to anything. We still don't care.
I'm like, wait. I'm like, where are you going with this?
Another thing about Aquaman is like with the Hulk, at least you can relate to that as an alter ego when you're angry. I don't see how to relate to the Aquaman at all. I think swimmer, cool, but if you don't care about swimming in the water and all that shit, it's like I don't.
I don't understand.
That comes with the backstory of Aquaman, right? With Hulk, you said you can relate to what you just said, but it was like with Aquaman, you can relate to his backstory, like the relationship.
You know, like I was that kid that, like, I don't know why, but I used to dress up cowboy suits and like want to shoot shit down. And then you would try to mimic your heroes. You know what I mean? The only way you can try to mimic Aquaman is like you just gotta go swim. I just don't.
It was like that was.
You ain't wearing no damn fin.
No, okay,
you ain't wearing no fin.
So
what you look like wearing a fin?
Aquaman probably like pre 2007, pre 2006, right? That Aquaman was corny as shit. I'll give you all that. But they revamped his story to make him more relatable. This is when they started revamping DC as a whole to make it more relatable to people and grounded without that corniness that they used to have. And that's when they gave Aquaman the backstory. Like, right. And ever since from then, I was like 15, 16, like ever since, it was just like, oh, yo, the backstory is super dope. Almost to the level of, to me, it was more compelling than Batman. Yeah, Batman's backstory, because we done heard that shit a bunch of times. And it's like, to me, it's like, I was never going to necessarily be no billionaire playboy shit with some gadgets running around the city. But like the relationship or the lack thereof, relationship between Aquaman and his parents, or the relationship or lack thereof with him trying to find himself in the world. Like, yo, people can relate to that, similar to Superman. You know what I mean?
The Superman.
Yo, all right. So I had the Ted Riley internet going. I didn't know what was going on. So now I'm using the phone. I'm pissed off, but it is what it is. We back in business. We went into why the hell are there fans of Aquaman? I've never actually met in my life an Aquaman fan. So this is like a first for me, especially since Delonte is here. He's trying to explain. So basically, Britta's calling him a superfish, which I do agree. Like, why would you wear a fin? Like, who? Like, no, you want to wear the green smash Hulk fist. You know what I'm saying? Not no damn fin. You're gonna look like a mermaid. You know, like we ain't going with no Aquaman.
So hold on. So you really believe, with all that shit at his disposal, that the Hulk will win versus Aquaman?
The same way I'd win against a shark if I can get it out the water and keep it out the water.
But you realize it's not just about him being in the water too. Like, he can do both. He's a hybrid. He's not like Ocean Master where he has to be in the water.
Well, Hulk has the ability to jump from continent to continent. So he's just going to jump kind of freaking Aquaman into the desert, and it's like, it's done.
Aquaman could still fight and survive in the desert. That's what I'm
But
saying.
you said he loses power when he's away from the water. So over
No,
time,
no. Yeah, but it's not immediate. It's not like it's immediate. It's just like the same thing like when you're working out and you get dehydrated.
yeah.
That doesn't come immediately.
So the Hulk's just gonna keep pummeling him until he gets to that point. It's gonna be
but the Hulk still loses his steam too. He don't stay mad forever. He will eventually turn back to Bruce Banner. So it's the same thing.
as long as he's angry and Iron Man, freaking Aquaman is fighting, he's losing. Stop fighting for Bruce to come back down. Bruce is not gonna come back down as long as he's fighting. So at the end of the day, he's gonna turn human again after he's already beaten the shit out of Aquaman.
No, he's not. Or at the same time. What if this is okay? This is another argument that why I really don't like the Hulk, right? So what if like he wants to Hulk out and the Hulk just won't let him?
And he's shit out of luck.
That's what I don't want.
But the Hulk won't let him die. But either way, the Hulk won't let him die.
Psychological situation to the shit. We just talking about straight battle. The Hulk versus Aquaman. We ain't talking about the mind.
But that goes into it. What you mean?
We just look. We just talking about Hulk, the ultimate Hulk versus the Finn Aquaman. What's up?
Aquaman all day.
All right, we'll leave it at that. He's stuck to it. He's married to the idea. We can't change it.
Because the Hulk ain't breaking no Atlantean steel. He can't break vibranium, and Atlantean steel is stronger than vibranium. So, by that logic, he ain't breaking that. He ain't breaking the Triton.
Actually, he split Wolverine in half on the comic.
That's not vibranium. That's animanium. Animanium is not as strong as vibranium.
Okay, but that still takes a lot of strength to break and split him in half.
You're right. I'm not denying that.
So yeah, and then there's World Breaker Hulk. We haven't even touched on that yet.
Oh, that's not no. See, like no. We talking about regular green ass Hulk. We ain't talking about red.
No, I said the ultimate Hulk.
We ain't talking about no World Breaker Hulk. We ain't talking about we ain't talking about Science Hulk or whatever they call that nigga with the brain. I don't Professor Hulk. We talking about regular green ass Hulk who can't put two sentences together. Hulk is an idiot. A Hulk is an idiot. Like think about that. Like Hulk, when it comes to fighting, he literally just smashed. He's an idiot. You can beat him on smarts alone.
Okay, so if you're restricting his power and you're not allowing World Breaker Hulk, and of course we already were leaving out Professor Hulk, right? So yeah, he's not gonna be as strong, but he still took out Abomination, which I think would already take out freaking the Fish.
So put it this way, right? Put it this way. Who would win, Batman or Hulk?
Hulk, easy.
That's not easy. Because a lot of people would say the same thing about Superman would beat Batman, but Batman literally almost killed Superman. Because they both fight
Hulk,
the same.
If you think Hulk, think freaking Abomination. You got I mean, not Abomination, Doomsday. When you think Hulk, think Doomsday.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is...
And you see what kind of work he put Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman through?
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. But that's not what I'm saying when it comes to the regular Hulk, he's an idiot. So Batman has always... one of his superpowers is his intelligence. So he's always been able to outsmart everybody. So that's why I said it's not as simple as just the Hulk's going to beat him.
But not Doomsday. Hulk is, you got to compare Hulk to Doomsday because Doomsday is a nightmare, like for all of them. And Doomsday is just ignorance. He's pure ignorance. He destroys anything in his sight. Like the comics version and the movie version. He destroys anything in sight. He's just...
but Batman never fought Doomsday in the comic.
It was Superman versus Doomsday, and he killed Superman.
Yeah, but no, they killed each other.
Yeah.
The Doomsday won.
No, they killed each other. They both died in the comic. Superman killed.
So Hulk is equivalent to that.
Yeah, but but if you give Batman the actual chance to fight him, he would outsmart him. Is my point. Because regardless of who. Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. So like, it's not just as simple as if you think about it based on just strength for strength, and if he gets a Hulk smash, yeah. But at the same time, Superman will have he has contingency plans for everybody, right? So he'll have a contingency plan for whatever the Hulk does or whatever he's capable of. So he will outsmart him to beat him.
Kind of how Iron Man did with the Hulk Buster suit and all of that. Yeah, kind of.
All right.
I understand where you're coming from.
All right. Well,
Batman's my guy, so that's cool. It's just your boy Aquaman, where I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Aquaman's a G.
That Aquaman be that Aquaman be like, I don't know what. I never heard no Aquaman fan, but whatever. We'll take it for what it is.
We got one here, man.
Yeah, so that is that debate for the DC and the Marvel heads, you know. Shout out to the people that actually know their superhero facts. With these two gentlemen today, they definitely educated the misleading ones, you know. And we do, at the end of the day, we do want DC to win, though. I love the animation films, but
Yeah.
I do want them to win, man. You know, like Marvel's cool. They got the movies, but I do want them to win. So if whatever the Twilight actor's name is for the next Batman, I pray that he does.
I actually think he's gonna do good, and he's just not gonna be Ben Affleck level good because Ben Affleck was a cheat.
Yeah, he ain't got Jack like in a crazy way. He actually looks like the original comic book Batman. That's
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he actually went that far to where he looks like the original comic.
He got huge, he was huge.
He looks like the cartoon Batman from the 90s
with the square jaw, the one that looked.
He looks like, I could give him that.
And a lot of comic book nerds actually do accept that Ben Affleck was a good Batman. A lot of comic book nerds, even the people that hate Batman versus Superman, they still have that silver lining where they say like, "Yo, Batfleck was crazy."
I do give one thing with Batman that with Ben Affleck, it was darker.
That was what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying he was darker than, you know, any other Batman that I saw before. But that's what I rocked with though. Definitely when I saw him shooting with the guns and Batman first, I was like, wait, hold up. I was like, oh, I was like, word.
Like think about Keith. Think about it this way, right? Okay, so do you think Christian Bale could have pulled off that same dark performance if you swapped their roles? Do you think Christian Bale could have did what Ben Affleck did in Batman v Superman?
Yes.
I mean, he was the Psycho, so
yes. Christian Bale. Are you talking about his skills or what you talking about? Because yes, he can.
Everything.
Yes.
So you really think he could have bulked up 100 and some pounds?
Dog, that motherfucker. I remember when he was like super skinny for a role and he bulked
losing.
Up
you of all people know losing weight is easier and is different than gaining weight like that. You know that for a fact. Your body caps out when you gain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what we talking about? Performance? Are we talking about everything? Performance, physical look? Like
to actually give you the same feel, I don't think Christian Bale could have actually embodied that Batman.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think so.
I don't think he could have
feel like
in terms of acting.
Yeah, in terms of it all, because I honestly feel like if you swap their roles, I think Ben Affleck,
he would have done just the same thing.
I think Ben Affleck is a better actor than Christian Bale, so he would have embodied that he would have done better in that role. Like, put it this way, because I've been doing a lot of this too. I've been watching a lot of Ben Affleck movies lately. He's a hell of a writer, a hell of a director, and a hell of an actor, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of his movies are great, and he's underrated when it comes to that, right? So it's like, to me, I started to notice his range, and it's just like he does it all to the point where it's like, I don't think Christian Bale can do it like that. Christian Bale has his lane, if that makes sense.
I've seen some of his roles, man. He's very diverse, bro. Come on, man. How you go from Batman to playing Dick Cheney? You see what I'm saying? Like, he's very diverse when it comes to acting. You know that.
That don't mean the Dick Cheney role was good.
No, but I'm saying, but he's capable of doing that, and he embodied Dick Cheney.
But was it good? That's my point.
It's good, bro. Christian Bale could do it, bro. He could do it. We can't have this argument about Christian Bale's skills. He will do it.
Not all his roles. His roles are that good.
I just think he's too soft to play that Batman. That's all I get.
That's like, I think he is too. Like, I don't think he could have embodied that grit.
Okay.
Yeah, he's too soft.
Okay.
That Batman, he was too soft.
All right. So
and the perfect example of where he was grittier was in the one against Bane. You know, the third version, that was a more gritty version of him. And even that was as dirty and gritty as the Batfleck, you know? So
that's as far as he was going to get with that. And it was just, yeah.
Okay. Y'all made y'all point. You got it. Y'all made it.
Yeah.
You made it. All right, y'all made it. You got me. You got the host. How you feel?
Feels great.
But since it's basically a movie, when I have another question, I'll be off camera because I have to look at it since I'm on the phone. But the better movie, Which one did you like? Rush Hour or Bad Boys 1? The first Rush Hour or Bad Boys 1?
Go ahead, Delonte.
I'm going to look at the results real quick.
I would still go. It's going to take me a couple of seconds to actually collect why, but I would still say Bad Boys. But I would say so I'm gonna get technical a little bit. So I like Bad Boys as a. I don't like the Rush Hour story is better to me, but the Bad Boys, I like Michael Bay's style of production better than Jerry Bruckheimer for Rush Hour. If that makes sense. So like, I prefer to watch shit blowing up and have no. I prefer to watch
Michael Bay will do that.
Yeah, I prefer to watch Bayhem and shit like just blowing up for no fucking reason over just like the Rush Hour. But Rush Hour was a way better story than Bad Boys.
I don't know if I could say the story necessarily, but I'm with you on I prefer Bad Boys, but I like Bad Boys more because I felt like the comedy flowed in better with Bad Boys than it did with Rush Hour, in my opinion. I just felt like the comedy kind of blended into the story to where it's like, I believe this kind of happening. The whole story with Rush Hour kind of to me just seems like, I don't really believe this.
Wait, you believe Bad Boys was real over Rush Hour?
Yeah, the overall concept. So you got a cop from Asia who combines with this black cop from somewhere. I don't remember where the movie took place. And I was like, this is already stretching to me. I'm like, you're already stretching here.
But over, this is why I like it. That's why I call it. It's called Bayhem. Over, like you're just random shit blowing up for no reason.
Yeah,
like the physics on his shit don't even be making sense.
Because at least these two guys, I understand why these two guys are together. I can see them working together, and I like the contrast between one guy who's trying to play more by the book and the other guy who's a little more the rebel. Kind of what you did have a little bit of that in Rush Hour, but I just liked how the dynamics played, and not to mention just the chemistry between. To me, the chemistry between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith was just something else. Like the chemistry, just them two on camera, the chemistry seemed to work better. For me, the chemistry felt a little off between Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker.
So is that because of the race aspect of it?
It could be the cultural element. Like I could tell that both of them had to make adjustments to make the movie work. Well, I don't feel as much Martin and Will Smith had to make quite that many adjustments.
Because if I'm getting this right, that was maybe. I may be off. Our first, second, or third introduction to Jackie Chan in America. So most people never, and I may be off, but most people have never seen Jackie before that movie in America. That was like So to most people, I feel like they would have that same sentiment only because we've never really seen an Asian star like that other than Bruce Lee in America, and that was the 70s, and most people weren't like. Our generation wasn't alive for that. So all we see, you know what I mean? So it's like, of course, I feel like people are going to say Will Smith and Martin would have better chemistry because we grew up with their TV shows and we grew up with Will Smith as a musician first. You know what I mean? So we were already familiar with them opposed to we were only necessarily familiar with Chris Tucker, not necessarily Jackie Chan. So when we see them, it's coming to America and them two pairing up is going to look awkward at first because we're not used to that dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of my argument. What you just said that actually it tails in directly into what I just said because I felt it just didn't feel like a believable thing. It felt forced.
I actually think
24 hours where you had Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, for instance, that felt natural. But that felt natural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Rush Hour, I don't feel like it felt as natural as Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, for instance. If we're going to talk about kind of opposing white, black, that. Mm-hmm.
But then again,
they played well off their differences. I feel like the way they played off the differences was well, but in Rush Hour, it felt like more so comic relief, and they played the differences more so in a comedic way. Where it just.
That also goes to directing styles too. But excuse me. What I was going to say too with the whole Jackie Chan thing is that's why I do think it's more realistic and believable because like an Asian person, like if you work with an Asian. Or I guess he was Chinese. I think he's Chinese. If you work with a Chinese man, just straight up coming straight off the boat for the first time in America. I feel like it's going to be like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or any type of ethnicity coming straight off the boat from America to America, working with you first day, fish out of water. I feel like it's always going to be that awkwardness. And that's what I feel like made it believable and real to where I like that story better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Another point. I actually have another point that ties into that because, and you mentioned that a lot of people might not have been familiar with Jackie Chan, but I actually was familiar with Jackie Chan from before that. He had a movie series called Police Story. Police Story, I think, was his best movie ever. That shit was crazy. He was fighting a bunch of villains. It was kind of like a Steven Seagal type story. They had these kids, but he just went berserker mode. He was angry, mad, and he was fighting everybody. So again, when I see him in Rush Hour, I'm like, oh, this is a toned down Jackie Chan.
But wait, but was that an American movie or a Chinese movie?
It was Chinese. It was a movie from wherever they made those movies.
Yeah, because he was like, when he did Rush Hour, that my only point with that was when he did Rush Hour, he wasn't known in America, but he was huge in China. He had done like maybe like 20 something films in China by that time.
He was huge around the world,
he did a lot.
He was huge around the world. I was in Africa and the UK. We love Jackie Chan. Like Jackie Chan was our guy.
He was internet. He just didn't break into America. So that's all I'm saying about him breaking into America. So it's like when it comes to and we're starting to see this now. Like Americans are very I just drew a blank.
Close-minded.
No, not necessarily, not close-minded.
True.
I want to say bitches, but like I don't. That's not the right word I'm looking for. But like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like Americans are very sensitive with shit, right? Mm. Especially we're starting to see that now. So like, if you were to see Jackie Chan coming in all hard and whatnot, like a badass like that, I don't think it would have been received very well in America.
Oh,
right.
You know what I mean? Opposed to him easing his way in there, because after that movie, you realize he started doing more action-packed American films, and people started, okay, he's an action star. He's legit, right? And then they started catching on to his productions in China. And then, he really does this, right? Oh, he's that Nick. Like, yo, everybody started realizing that. But like, if he would have came out the gate like that in America, I don't think he would have made it.
But here's the flip side in the defense of Bad Boys, because that's a good point. He made it in America, but you see what Bad Boys did for Will Smith to become like such a legendary star, and that was his first role, kind of like that, right? Wasn't that his first role? That came out before Independence.
No, his first.
Did it come out before Independence Day?
I think it came out before Independence Day.
No, it didn't.
First action role. Did he have?
No, Independence. Hold on, I gotta look. The Independence Day came out. When did Bad Boys come out? 97.
No,
98.
That shit was like 94, 93.
Yeah, it was before.
It was before Independence Day, because Independence Day, I think, came out 96, 97. Y'all can look at it real quick and let me know.
No, Independence Day was 95, 96. They were back to back. I do know that. I remember that. But what I was going to say was his first role was 6 Degrees of Separation, where he had to play the gay guy.
Yeah, but he was. I'm talking about action role. I was referring to action role.
That was his first?
Yeah,
probably was. Yeah.
Action role.
Yeah,
and he displayed a lot.
You're right. It was.
There was the scene when he was chasing the cars or running from the cars. I don't remember the movie exactly, but just all of that displayed in the movie. It's like, oh shit, I didn't know you could do this. There was just like the person who watched it was just like, wow, whoa. Like Will Smith really expanded like a whole lot, and Martin Lawrence too. He was just known for straight comedy, but to now see him action flick,
like, with guns and all that.
Yeah, it was like, wow. It was like, yo, this is special. This is
but that goes to their character, not the story. That's what I was talking about.
Let me ask y'all though. Delonte, you said what was the better movie? I know you went to the Michael Bay, but let me get a clear, definite answer. What was the better movie in your eyes?
See, I don't.
Because you're talking about Michael Bay destroying shit, and I agree. If you want,
I know. I said the movie that I prefer. The movie that I prefer to watch was Bad Boys, but I said Rush Hour had the better story. What's
the better movie overall?
See that I can't. I don't have.
There's no such thing as you can't. This is Millsthursdays.
I don't have the one. Okay, I don't have one because the movie that I prefer to watch. I don't. The movie that I prefer to watch is Bad Boys.
Okay, so we'll be on your preference. You know what you prefer. So we'll say Bad Boys for you. And Brito?
Bad Boys, without a doubt.
Well, I just looked at it. That's why I was blank off screen. 38% Said Bad Boys.
Y'all niggas. Wow.
Oh, nuts, man. Who are you?
62 with Rush Hour. I love Bad Boys, man. Both good movies, but I love Bad Boys, man.
But then that makes me think of the point that I had where it's just like the story. Like, cause we sometimes underestimate how much people just value a good story within a movie.
That's
and
true.
not necessarily just going out and blowing shit up.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So like,
I enjoyed
I can see that. Huh?
But I enjoyed the story in Bad Boys. I actually prefer the story in Bad Boys more. But then again, I don't really remember the Rush Hour story that well anyway. So
yeah, he went
personal
with Rush Hour. He
preferences
came to America. He came to America to find out who killed his dad.
Mm-hmm.
No. Or okay, you're right. I don't remember that shit either. I don't remember that.
What I mean?
But
it wasn't his dad. He
know,
came to protect Soo Young. Was that he was protecting Soo Young in the first Rush Hour, right?
Look, man,
and then Bad Boys, he had to
all I know
protect
is
Julie.
Bad Boys is memorable.
Yes.
Bad Boys is more memorable to me than Rush Hour. I'm just gonna say that. So
yeah, me too.
I'm gonna ask just one more question because we went off with the movies. Y'all two definitely y'all some movie buffs, man. Ain't no question. That's why when I get on the screen, if I'm trash or I'm doing my thing, Brittle gonna tell me and Delonte gonna tell me. I already know that off top. Like, yo,
oh yeah, you better believe it, man. We watching.
You be like, yo, this movie, dog, it that was good, or nah, bro, that was ass, bro.
Hey, bro, hold on.
You know the mistakes to avoid, bro. You're on your way. You definitely.
Oh yeah.
Before we continue, I never noticed you was an All-American until yesterday.
Oh really?
I never noticed that shit.
Yeah, it's just little small stuff here and there, but I'm gonna make sure this time before this whole quarantine, man, I'm gonna get some lines, bro. You know, see me? That's just little things right there. Knowing the producers, you know what it is though. You part of the crew.
Yeah, now, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make my rounds, man. I look when I shave this beard off, I look like every black person according to Hollywood. I'm so serious.
Get out over here.
They're like, oh my gosh, you look just like the guy from Get Out. I'm like, you know what? I don't. Sure, yes. Will I get a role like him? Put me on. Put me on. Nah, but I'm gonna make sure, man. I'm gonna be on my A game, man. I got two of my brothers watching, man. But so the last one will be, with obviously the recent stuff going on, George Floyd, everything else, the police and everything. Now, they want to defund the police. Do you agree with that? Who wants to go first?
You go ahead, Brito.
Now here we go. Now I'm going to get myself in some hot waters. The popular line here is defund, and I'm of the opinion of no. Don't defund the police. That doesn't sound right to me because, and again, I have a bias, and I'm just going to explain my filter, and then people can make what they want of it, right? I'm from Mozambique, right? So I'm from a country where I know police are underpaid. I've literally seen police run around barefooted, and they get treated like shit. Criminals.
Damn.
Yeah.
You say police running barefoot?
Yeah, they used to be barefooted. You'd have a cop trying to solve a problem, and he's barefooted. He don't even got shoes.
I bet you that nigga got speed.
he had speed, he had power. The guy had heart. They always had heart. But they used to be, most of the time, the cops were skinny, tiny little guys who didn't have shoes. These guys pose no threat at all to criminals. They were not keeping any criminals stopped. If anything, they were just walking up to the criminals and saying like, yo, let's come up with a deal here so we can get some money. And then we're going to let you go. They were easier to corrupt because for one, they didn't have money, right? And a lot of justice, the main justice as far as like getting things right in the city when criminals came out and started doing dumb shit, the people did it. The people came out and actually killed whoever was causing a problem in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's a street justice.
Say, okay, street justice, yeah. And we had a lot of that, but that's why. Why was that though? Because the police did not get paid enough. There was not enough money in the police system. But now, on the defund subject, I do understand something that people have made a good point. When you give the police too much money, right, they find themselves with a huge police force and a huge police presence in the neighborhood, but they can't get paid to do nothing. So now they got to do something, right? and they end up just doing shit that that doesn't need to be done at all, right?
Yeah.
On the flip side, the fact that you have their presence, sometimes just their presence alone deters a lot of criminals and a lot of criminal activity just from them being there. You know what I mean? When you're in DC and you see some shit pop off, do you not feel a little more comfortable when cops show up? Well, maybe not all as a black folks, you know, I know what you mean, but you see a cop come by, you're like, I'm not armed, and these fuckers are armed doing dumb shit. Is there somebody armed around here to help me out? You get what I mean?
To an extent, but like
I'm like,
I don't feel safe regardless. So,
I'm thinking about that. I'm like, because
it don't matter if they got weapons or not, and I don't. Like, regardless, if we around some foolery and then they got weapons and I don't, and the police come, I'm still going down with the foolery, even though I have nothing to do with it, and that's just because of our skin color. That's just that's their bias, and that's what I feel like. So in terms of defunding the police, I tend to agree with not defunding. It depends on what you mean by, or what they mean by defund, right? Do they mean just take away a little bit of their funding so they don't have as much money, or completely defund them to where they get zero, right? You know what I mean? So to me, it depends on what the talk is about, or what they mean about defunding. Because if you're talking about just, I feel like what he said, like the police have too much money, too much power, and too much freedom. But I don't necessarily think defunding them is going to necessarily do anything. Like, if you defund the police, then doesn't that equate to us having less protection and less police around?
Yeah.
That's you know what I mean? Like, that's where the conversation gets tricky. Not to say, I still think like all police are bad. Like, I've said this shit a bunch of fucking times. Like, I used to try to defend it, but it's like, nah, I've seen this shit too much. But I don't want to sit there and say all police are bad, because there's black policemen who aren't bad. But it's like, do I say all white police are bad? Like, I can't necessarily say that shit either, because they probably aren't. But from my experiences and from what I've seen so far, they are. So it's like, if you defund the whole police program, you're defunding the black police that may actually be trying to do some good in our black community, who may be trying to police it the right way. But then it becomes a political race war where you can't be like, well, let's just defund the white police, because then they're really going to be up in arms about some shit. You know what I mean? So like, when you're saying defunding the police, what are you actually saying? What is that actually going to accomplish? Instead of defunding the police, it needs to be not more funding, but not towards the police, but maybe more funding in the police reform on how they actually do shit, right? Or more funding in, I
have another point to add to that, because I also think about it like this, right? For those who say defund the police, do you have an example of where that worked before? I mean, maybe they do have counter arguments, but if anybody wants to defend that, do you have an example of where that was done before? Because I've seen, like the example I gave to start with, I've seen a situation in the nation where the police is already defunded, seeing how useless they are. I'm like, and this expands the conversation a little bit, where I see a lot of people pushing for certain things that I've seen in less developed countries, where I'm like, y'all pushing for this country to become like those countries. I'm here for a reason, bro. Let me just be honest. I'm not there because I know certain things suck over there. Let's just be real, 100%. America is better in many ways. You know what I mean? Are the police hostile? Are they racist in those positions? That's a fact that they are. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about that, you know? And then the fact that they, basically pull us over nothing and suspect us. And I've been in that situation myself, right?
I have too.
I was in there. When he got pulled over, I was there. We could talk about that.
Yeah, he thought I had a gun in my car. He thought I had a gun, like, just, I don't know. It was a toolbox, and he thought it was grab my hand and didn't let me like go move so he could
grab his hand, and he had his gun, and he had his other hand on the holster, ready to start some shit. And this motherfucker had a toolbox. He's like, yeah, let me get. He's like, oh, yo, chill, bro. Like, the nigga, first of all, it was a white dude, 6'7", 210, 220, looking like Chris Evans or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he pulled us over, and he was like, hey, what'd you go for the toolbox for? Did you even go?
It was just behind my seat. Yeah, it was. That was kind of a dumb move. Now, in retrospect, I see that was probably a dumb move anyway. But his suspicion just jumped immediately to reaching for a gun. You know what I mean? I'm like, how you get to that already, man?
No, it's not.
So
I mean,
there are suspicions that people have of us. I mean, on the flip side of this conversation, it's like we have as for the Black community in the world, not even just in America. What I would say is we have bad PR. We have really bad PR as far as like how it's to the world. So these fears don't come out of thin air. Like even if the cop is not necessarily racist, they have an intangible fear, an automatic fear of Black folks because of how we're shown. You know what I mean? I'm defending the cops, what I'm saying, but something needs to be done about how we're represented in the world. The PR. But you know, and here's another thing, because like I was actually talking to a friend about it because we talk about the music. You know, we're all in music, right?
Yeah.
And I talk about hip hop, and I say like one of the things that the world knows Black people for is hip hop, the music, right? Yeah. And we all proudly say it's our music, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I bring the question: is it really ours if we're not the ones calling the shots? It's not our music, technically. In the public space, it's not our music because we're not calling the shots. What's out is being dictated in big offices by people that don't care about our interests.
Right. It is true. Yeah.
So the way we look to the public is not an image that's curated by us. It's an image curated by big corporations, some board office.
Yeah.
You know? So whether that comes to movies, music, movies, sports, a lot of our images are curated by people in board offices, you know, in these rooms, and they're discussing, okay, so we're going to make this next thing the hottest thing out there. It's like, yeah, this guy, he's a drug dealer. He got shot 12 times, boom, 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 just to keep it.
But he's still alive.
And he's still alive, and man, he's hard, and he's going to sell that image. And they're like, this is going to sell records. And that's all they're thinking about. They're not actually even thinking about, this is going to make Black people look bad. They're thinking this is going to sell records.
They don't want the conscious Brito who has a message. They don't want his shit on the airwaves.
They don't want that. You
They're
know,
not gonna get. He ain't gonna get paid. I mean, but he ain't gonna get paid because that's not what gets people's attention. Basically, they want to look at us as monkeys.
Dancing monkeys for them, and that's the thing. So they put out, and there's a reverse education there where they create the public interest in seeing us in a negative light, which I feel like there's something wrong there too. It's like, why are the consumers so happy to listen to Black people talk about being in ignorant positions, doing dumb shit to each other? Why are people fascinated with that? You know what I mean? But now, are the labels and all these industries the ones that are making people see that as the thing for them to like? Are they being taught to like that? You know what? Those are the questions I ask. Are they being taught to like that? And why is it in their interest to teach people to like this stuff? Why can't they push anything more positive? Now, is there an agenda to make us look bad so when the cops kill us, they can justify it because they're criminals and they're idiots and all that stuff? You know what I mean? And then another aspect of this that I think of pretty often is like, it's the chicken or the egg. Because they push these images and the world perceives us that way, but then we'll have a reverse effect where some of us will think that this is what we are supposed to be.
Yeah. Wow.
You know? So then now you have reality playing into this fiction that's been created, but it's like, is it reality imitating life or the other way around? What is going on now? But a little bit of both now, because they push this image out. They tell us you're real when you're this guy, and now you got this image, and now you perpetuate the problem, and then they say, see? Someone's like, it's like they're playing the game on all sides, and it's a fucked up thing. So when you talk about defunding the police, I mean, yeah, you're going to defund the police, but what are you going to do about those people that are still there with certain mindsets that are not helpful? What are we doing?
We got to, honestly, man, when it comes to that, we just got to keep on educating the blind, man.
I mean, like they're never going to understand what any of this means, truly understand, unless they go through it themselves. Like back in the civil rights era, right? When they was fighting for our equality back then, they were still like everyone, and I've seen this meme so many times, and it annoys the hell out of me. That Martin Luther King meme where they say he did all this without violence, or he did all this without looting, or whatever it was. I know you guys have seen that meme.
I'm pretty sure.
Right? But he may have did that, but it wasn't just him. I don't understand why he gets, and this is go off on a tangent, understand why he gets all the credit for the fight for our equality, right? Or because the media technically made him the poster boy. Again, controlling the narrative of what we see and what they want us to believe. Not necessarily never honoring Malcolm X, or never honoring or Kareem, or never honoring even Huey. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Or never even honoring Huey. So it's like without that trifecta of people, Martin, yeah, he did preach, okay, nonviolence, cool. That wasn't the only thing that was going to work. Malcolm X, self-defense, okay, yeah, so these Negroes are going to fight back. We're scared. Huey Newton, let's bring the fight to them, right? Okay, so you have the trifecta of people. Of course, they're going to go with, okay, these other two, they was whooping our ass, so we're going to go with the one who decided to just stand there and pretty much take it and do the nonviolent approach. So it's not like all of those three things had an effect, right, to get us to where we are today. And in order to move forward, we may have to do that again. It's not going to just be, they may want to see the peaceful protest, right? And that may be cool, but I don't believe that that's what's going to get people to necessarily listen and to understand. Like, because it didn't work. Peaceful protesting didn't 100% work in the 60s. That wasn't the only thing that was going. And a lot of people seem to not either understand that or know that or just forget about everything else that was going on.
But this, I'm going to add to what you're saying, Delonte, you're correct. Everything that you just said, both of you guys are correct. Delonte, I'll add to it. We are a forgiving race. Africans, Black Americans, we forgive. You know, because at the end of the day, we already know the world is against us. We have a lot of things stacked up against us. Like I say this, I got this from Cat Williams. When there's a baby that his baby mama's visiting him in jail in this one scene, and for some reason the baby mama, who's played by Tiffany Haddish, had a white kid. And he's like, "Why the hell you got a white kid for?" I know that baby's got a 700 credit score. You know what I'm saying? So he's white. He's got a 700 credit score. You already come into the world with many things. When we're Black, we have so many things against us. You know what I mean? And not only that, we're forgiving. We try to create our own type of business, whether it be the Black Wall Street. You see what I'm saying? Guess what happens? We mind our own business. Guess what happens? It burns down.
It's not even going to change in the next 5 or 6 years. I personally believe, and I've been called a pessimist for this, I don't think it's going to change in our lifetime whatsoever. And that's sad to say. Like, or if it does change in our lifetime, we're going to be like 80 or 90.
Yeah.
Or if we continue to live longer, we may be like 100 or whatever. But like, I don't foresee this changing in our lifetime. I feel like the narrative is going to get worse before it gets better, as far as them not necessarily listening and doing what they believe they want us to do. Like, I feel like that's going to continue to try to happen until they actually start to listen to us with all the pushback that we give. Other than that, I don't see any of this really being as effective as we hope it is in our mind.
I'm still gonna fight. We still gotta make our voices known.
I feel like we all gotta fight in the best way we know how.
Yeah.
Because simply to have everybody out there protesting, which is, I'm not shooting that down, continue, riot, do whatever. But I'm saying we need different facets of the movement as far as getting us to where we need to be. You know what I mean? If we're trying to get to the promised land, you know, away from Pharaoh, you know, as Moses would put it, you know, if we're trying to do that, we need a strategy for what happens when we get there, though, right? Because that's kind of what happened. Moses and the people were fighting to get away, but they knew they just needed to get away from these clutches. But now that we're here, now what do we do?
And I don't even honestly just think of what's going to happen next. I think we need to start taking control of us, right? So I made this comment the other day. Like, protests are cool. Protest, rioting, and, you know, marching, all that stuff is cool. But that we have to be able to change our narrative to the public. So I feel like, and more so than protesting, don't get me wrong, that's still important. But we need to make our own content that shows us in a better light and promote that too.
And we're doing
they've been controlling media for the X amount of years, for hundreds of years, right? They've been, even for print, not even just television, not even just radio, print media for us as well, right? Even back to slavery times, right? So they've been controlling the narrative on us for fucking millennia, right? So in order for us to combat that, we have to combat their media perspective with our own media, agenda. We have to learn and start creating our own content, creating our own platforms, start creating our own businesses, stuff like that. It's not just going to come from just marching or whatever. Marching and all that gets the conversation started, but creating our own narrative, creating our own media propels and it starts with supporting our own. We can't be like, oh yeah, I want to start my own business, or we should have our own Black-owned business, right? Then we don't fund or don't support the Black-owned businesses, or if we do decide to support our own Black-owned businesses, we can't go in there being cheap and shit, asking for a discount and shit. Like, it all starts with us.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, we're lining the pockets of all these the Gucci's of the world, the Louis Vuitton. Yeah. We're lining their pockets. It's like, and we're buying the most expensive cars and trying to do the most. I'm like, one of the things I do is I watch what other communities are doing, right? Other communities are downsizing in many ways. There's a whole minimalist movement just brewing. Mostly see it in a white community. I'm like, well, we're the ones who have less money. Why are we still looking to build the biggest thing when they're going minimal? I feel like we need to promote more the idea of like, yo, don't put your money, we talk about keeping the money in the community, right? When you buy the most expensive car and it's not even on your local bank, it's not even in the bank. The money just went to this car and now you owe the bank tons of the dollars.
Right.
Talk about slavery, that right there.
That's another story.
A lot of us are going into debt over shit like this, over material things. It's not even something that makes sense to you for you to go in debt for. So I believe this will be a different podcast, but we need to like get into the idea of just building a little more self-sufficiency and just be a little more capable of living outside the reach of government. So my point against with the defund the police thing, like I am of a different stance. I'm not saying my stance is right versus others. I believe in having different factions of the movement. You know what I mean? You have a movement apart, like you need your militants. So you need your rioters, the people ready to go in and fight. You need your intellectuals to go in and debate. You need your organizers to organize people, right? But you also need the people that look at like, okay, well, things that we're going to start doing here is if you want to really hurt them in their pockets, beyond destroying their property, is just stop giving them money. Like imagine suddenly you have your own property, your own solar system and all this type of thing set up in your house. You're off the grid. You're not paying electricity bills. You own, so you're not paying them no mortgage. You own everything you own. Your money is not leaving you and going anywhere. It's staying right with you. Right. And you're still working, bringing in income, you know? You know how much Black wealth would grow if people were just not spending it all on shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we could do more of that and keep the money to ourselves, that would be a major, major key to grow.
But a part of that also comes with education or the lack thereof, because we don't have necessarily the best educational systems within our communities or
just America as a whole. The education system sucks. Just America as a whole.
But particularly with our community, we've never found education cool, the cool thing to do, right? So it's like we go out and spend this money, but we don't have financial literacy on what to buy, on what that's why they continue to market to us, because we don't know shit about money like that. We have no financial literacy.
And I think they use music. I think they use music and movies to market a lot of toxic ideas to us. I actually think that they're using the movies and music to promote toxic ideas, because then we buy into it. Like yesterday, I was in Ocean City and I heard some chicks, talking out of the car, talking to some dudes as I walked by, and they were like, the dudes are like, yo, you want to come hang out? So they're like, nah, we got a suite. We got a super suite. I'm like, okay, so y'all bragging about the big suite that you have and having the most expensive shit. It's like, just because you can afford, you have the money to do it, doesn't mean you have to do it. You know what I mean? I could have been in the suite. I wasn't. Why? Not because I didn't have the money to do it, but because I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
There's a better financial situation. You're still getting the same experience at the place. You just don't want to spend the damn money because you're not going to be in the room the whole time. Like shit like that don't make, like, okay, so I used to make dumbass decisions like that.
Me too.
You know what I mean? I think we all do, and we all go through it, but like we grow and evolve. And sometimes within our community, not everyone in our community does that. A lot of people in our community just stay stagnant. So they don't understand the value of that type of growth, or like I keep saying, financial literacy. So from my personal experience, my pops used to tell me all the time, yo, stop buying Jordans, invest in stocks. I didn't get that shit back when I was 21, 22, 23 years old. I didn't start understanding that until I was like literally 26, 27, right? Yeah. So everyone has to go through that process. But like even within our communities, we don't even have people to educate us on what that even means. We got to start there too. Like, what is that? Because they don't know what the hell, how valuable a stock can be, opposed to what they see. They see ultimate gratification in a Jordan, or they see that they're going to get ultimate satisfaction or cool points with whoever it is they're trying to impress immediately. But if stocks, they don't understand the long-term goal, the long-term success, because we're only thinking about tomorrow, not necessarily or today, not necessarily, not necessarily 10, 20 years down the road.
And here's a dangerous thing, even with some of that advice, and that's pretty much going to be my last note on because I know we can't go on forever, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things is I see a lot of education about finances these days, and people talk about financial education, and they constantly go to invest in stocks, invest in all of this, and they're talking about investments. I'm like, okay, you're talking to a broke person that doesn't have a single dollar. First thing you should teach them is how do you keep that dollar? And I'm always about keeping the money.
Save up.
You can talk about investing. How do you keep the money you're bringing in? First thing is first, keep your money. You don't talk to somebody who doesn't have a dollar about investing in stocks. You're screaming at somebody that has nothing. This is useless to somebody who has nothing. You know what I mean? You hear all this advice about invest in real estate, invest in this, invest in that. I'm like, do you even have money? That's where we're going to start. It's like, do you have a stable income? Yes. How much are you keeping per month? I don't know. Okay, find out how much you're able to keep. And if you're not keeping anything, why are you not keeping it? Where is it going? All of these things need to be asked. Before we even start trying to educate people about how they're going to be the next millionaire, teach them how to be a thousandaire. Keep something.
Yeah, but that all starts with discipline too. Like, because sad to say, like the only time I feel like in the Black community we have discipline is when it comes to sports, because that's like the quick buck. Even though not everybody makes it. But when it comes to like trying to save money, that's why they continue to target us, because they understand, they know we're going to spend that money, even if it's our last. And that's sad.
And this is what I say, and that's why, and this is my point. Every dollar you keep that doesn't go towards causes that don't matter, that don't empower you, every dollar you keep, that's your fight against the revolution. That's your revolution. You're not necessarily protesting or making any noise, but every cent you keep, every money you don't feed into the system, that's a revolution right there.
No, you're already, that's protesting in itself. It's a different type of protesting.
Yeah, and we can all participate in this protest. All of us can do it. Every last one.
And I think
dollars is a form of protest.
It's going there. But yo, we're gonna head out. So real quick, defund the police, yes or no? You both said yes, right? No, right?
No.
81%. I'm gonna say real quickly, 81% said yes, 19% said no.
Which I figured that was gonna happen. I figured those numbers were gonna be like that, but I also figured people don't understand or what it really means to defund the police. Like, what are you saying when you want to defund the police? That's where I think if you're going to ask that, or if people are going to say that, they have to clarify what they actually mean. Because if you're saying defund the police to where they have nothing, then we're like, nothing is going to get accomplished. It's going to get worse. But if you're talking about defunding the police to where they have, let's say they have $120,000, but you defund them to where they you defund them $20,000 to where they only have $100,000. Then okay, we can work with that type of defunding.
That's real, man. Right. Man. All of us keep this message going, man. This is it. Millsthursdays, man. Delonte. We got Brito. We out, man.
Yeah,